Hello, my name is John Tomczak. I am the Gainsight Administrator for the company that I work for. Today I want to take a few moments to demonstrate and give you instructions regarding a Gainsight Engagement Tracker that I put together as a Google Sheet, and I want to make available to share with individuals that work with the Gainsight PX tool. The company that I work for has upwards of 100 different engagements running at any given time, and I was asked to come up with a way to show which engagements were running at various times and in various intervals, and try to demonstrate how they overlapped each other so that we could prevent survey overload to customers and similar sort of things. So this is the Gainsight Engagement Tracker that I put together. It basically consists of 3 tabs. This is the first tab, where you enter the information about the engagements, and the information that gets entered about the engagements is pretty simple. It's just the name or description of the engagement, and then the start date and the end date, and then whether the engagement repeats or does not repeat. And there are 3 options here, and I will go into those. For the purposes of the start time and end time, we have NPS surveys which run twice a year. So I was asked to accommodate the schedule to put in 2 start dates and 2 end dates. For example, if we look at the very first engagement here, it has a start date of March 4th through April 1st, and then it replays again in September 1st to September 30th. So that is why there's a second column of start dates and end dates here. That may not necessarily apply to all users, but it's something specific to the company that I work for that they requested. Per the instructions here, if you double click on any of the dates, it will open up a Google Calendar, which allows you to put in the information, which is pretty handy. Over next to the dates, after you put in a date, there is some data validation built into this. So if you attempt to put in a date, an end date that comes before the start date, you will receive an error. So for example, in this, going back to the first example here, the start date is March 4th and the end date is April 1st. If I try to change that end date to something that is before March 1st, let's say March 1st, it will throw an error and just give the hint that the ending date has to be later than the starting date. So I will let that stay as it was back at April 1st, 2024. The repeatability options here are drop downs, and there are 3 options. Either the engagement does not repeat, the engagement repeats annually, or the engagement runs indefinitely. So for this particular engagement, I selected that it repeats annually because most of our NPS surveys repeat annually. Here's an exception where we have a special NPS survey that does not repeat. It's just a once only for the year of 2025. And here's an example of an engagement that was started, and the option to run indefinitely means it will continue to run until the product folks determine that they want it to be shut off. And so for the purposes of this tracker, I have the option to run indefinitely. So it ignores the end date, as we'll see, and it just shows a graph of it running indefinitely. Over on the far right hand side are some additional instructions. By the way, this also has a column that determines whether the engagement is active or is continuing to be active. So in this example here, for engagement G, it was started in February of 2024. It ended in March of 2024. It does not repeat. And so the logic that's built in here is saying that this engagement has expired. That is there so that you know that things are expired and you don't necessarily have to go back to this entry table and delete it. It just guarantees that it will not show up in the results. So that's just an option. On the right hand side, there are some additional instructions here, which I'm pretty much talking through. Here's my contact information on LinkedIn. There is also a link to download this spreadsheet and instructions that you must make a copy of it because your download version will be read-only. So you'll want to make a copy of it for yourself from the read-only. That way you can edit it and put in your own information. Here's a link to the YouTube video, which is what you are watching right now, and some additional information about the timeline. Specifically with regard to the timeline is set up with 54 columns, and each column is a week. So it looks into the future, basically a little more than a year. Okay, so in this demonstration, I have pre-filled some information here on some engagements and some various different repeatability options. We're going to move now to the customization tab, tab 2, which allows you to customize these active engagements here. So on tab 2, by the way, you will notice that cells that are editable are outlined and highlighted in green, and cells that are not editable are highlighted and outlined in red. So here we see that all of this table is not editable because it is read directly from the entry table where you put the data in. And of course, these are all green because they're editable. Okay, back over here on the customization tab. If for some reason you do not want a row of data to appear in the final summary table, the final results table, there is a column here with checkboxes that you can check to ensure that the data does not show up in the results table. So that's what this set of checkboxes are here, and you can check on it like so. Another shortcut, if you want to, if you're a super user of spreadsheets, you probably already know this, you can highlight a series of checkboxes and simply press the space bar, and the space bar will toggle that entire series on and off for you. So that's a little tip there. Okay, so as far as some other customization, the color bars, the color of the different bars that show up in the results table, and this is not the final results table, by the way, this is just a for customization purposes. This column here allows you to change the color of the color bars that are shown, and it's simply a drop down, and there are 23 different colors. Unfortunately, I couldn't color the drop down choices here, so you just have to kind of try different numbers and see what colors you happen to like for the various colors. And that's what the color bar drop down is good for. Okay. Across the top is the calendar that I mentioned in the previous section, which is 54 weeks into the future. And this is dynamic, so it always looks at the current date and it starts with the Sunday preceding the current date, which in this case would be March 2nd, 2025, which I should be, yep, that is a Sunday right there, okay. And it goes 54 weeks into the future, so you never have to change or update this calendar. It automatically changes and updates. And you can scroll to the right and you can see that this calendar currently goes out to March 8th, 2026. All right. Across the top of the calendar are another set of checkboxes. These checkboxes are used to pick specific time intervals that you might want to use for the results tab. So the default is they're all turned on. However, if you want to only see a segment of the timetable, then you can turn these checkboxes on and off just like you can here to turn on and off the data that you want to see. So let's take an example here. Well, first of all, before we do that, let's go ahead and look at the results. So those are the customizations, and let me summarize by saying the customizations are here in this column where you can decide to turn on or off, that is, display or not display specific engagements. This column, which allows you to change the color of the bars that are shown on the results tab, and then this row of checkboxes, which allows you to show specific weeks, include or exclude specific weeks for the next 54 weeks. So let's move to the results tab. So tab 3 is the results tab, and it is similar to the customization tab, except the customizations are no longer there. So you have a cleaner view of the PX engagements from a timetable standpoint. And so it's basically a summary. If you'll notice here in the customizations, going back, we notice that engagement G was expired. And when we look at the results tab, you'll see that engagement G does not exist because it is expired, so it automatically is kept from the results tab. Okay, so this is a view of the results tab here. Let's say, for example, you just wanted to see the engagements that were through the end of June, for example. In other words, just this slice right here. We can go back to the engagements tab, back to the customization tab, and we could go to the end of June here, and then beginning with the July timetable, I'm going to highlight all of the checkboxes that relate to the rest of that time. I'm going to press the space bar to turn them all off, so that the only checkboxes that are checked are the ones from now until the end of June of 2025. And now when I click on the results tab, you'll see that the results tab table is just showing a summary of the results that are shown here. Also, you'll notice that 2 of the previous results that were being shown have been eliminated because they don't fall into the timetable between March 2nd and June and the end of June. So 2 of them were eliminated from the previous view. So not only does the summary, the results tab summarize the results going this way horizontally by date, but also vertically it eliminates any engagements that are not within this timetable. So it kind of compresses it vertically as well as horizontally. Also to note on the results tab is that there is a click filter here that allows you to include or exclude specific engagements that are in the results. So presently there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or so There are 10 engagements in here, and if we wanted to eliminate some of them that did not apply, you can just simply open up this checkbox, this drop-down it's called a slicer actually in spreadsheet lingo, and you can select or unselect engagements in here. And I'm just for the purposes of demonstrating, I'm going to unselect every other one, and when I click OK, you notice that once again the results chart here shrunk down vertically. So it compressed vertically and eliminated the engagements that you were not interested in. So this is analogous or similar to what can also be done on the customization tab here by deciding not to use data in here. So this serves the same purpose essentially as this. So you can customize it in either way. I'm going to select all here except for that blank and return the table to have all the data that is available from March to June. And if I wanted to return the whole calendar, again, I could go back here and highlight all of the time boxes, the check boxes that are related to the month, and press the space bar, and they are all returned. And once again, on the results tab, that brings me back to the entire next 54 weeks of data. The other tab that's shown here is a customization instructions, which relates to tab number 2, the customize tab. And it's just a quick summary of the explanation that is included in this video. Column B checkboxes are whether to include or exclude information from the results tab. Column I is a drop-down select to select one of 23 different colors for the bar. The checkboxes that run in row 2 across the top are to include or exclude weeks of data from the results tab. Again, a note about the timeline, it's 54 columns long or 54 weeks long. And a reminder about the ability to use the space bar to select and deselect the checkboxes in mass so that you don't have to individually keep clicking and unclicking them. And that's what the customization instructions are for. So that is about all there is to it. Again, this is just a semi-complex spreadsheet that I put together in Google Sheets. It does not translate to Microsoft Excel because there are some advanced formula options that are available only in Google Sheets, including array formulas and also in-cell SQL programming, which makes this possible and is not possible in Excel. So if you do want to use this, you'll have to use it in a Google Sheet environment. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me via my LinkedIn page, and thank you for taking the time to look at this. Have a good day.